Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's so serious. Where my girls at? We ain't linked up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right.
Oh my goodness, it is a motivating Monday. It is a motivating Monday. I am so excited that you are here on We Got Issues. Welcome to We Got Issues. If it is your first time, welcome. If it's your 100th time, welcome. We are so grateful for all of our faithful listeners. We are here every Monday, every weekday, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern time. And I'm telling you, whatever device you want to use and whatever form you want to use, we are there. Go to theforceoffriendship.com. Click on that We Got Issues tab. Be sure to subscribe to our mailing list. And that's how you can click and share. To care is to share. That means invite your girlfriends, invite your boyfriends, invite whoever you know to join our tribe and to tune in with us to We Got Issues. We are the Force of Friendship, and we are so excited to be right here with you on 910 AM, the Superstation. It is Katrina, Sabrina, Chrisette, and Gloria. Our girlfriend Gloria is still traveling. She has the banks have taken Asia, and now they are taking Africa. And one of these days, they're headed back to Dubai on their way back to their home. Who knows? They might have bought another house out there. Okay. We will see. We will hear when she comes back about all the places she's been and what she's loved the most. But I certainly hope you're following each of us individually on our social media, because these chicks right here, they have a life. OMG. I think Lady Chrisette is joining us. I don't know if she's on radio or if she's coming, but she has been at a party. We saw her at the Detroit Auto Show. We saw her at a 60th birthday party. We saw her every day, different out. I mean, when I tell you she has image down and can dress her behind off and looks fly and fabulous all the time. I'm so glad to call her my girlfriend. So right now today, you have my girlfriend who is, she'll tell you where she is in the world, new. But if you are on the radio only, you have got to see. When I tell you, I'm about to join the club too, because we don't know what Gloria look like yet. But she has joined the club. Sabrina, welcome, and tell them about the club. First, last week, you joined the First Lady Club, and now you joined another club. So tell them about the club.
Oh my goodness. Hello, tribe. It's the Force of Friendship with the girlfriends. And we are here. Happy Monday. Every day is Monday. And so, yep, I have joined the Braids Club. Yes, I have. And it feels so good. I tell you what, I haven't had braids in 20 plus years. But we're in the middle of a big move, and I said, I need one less stress in my life. And you know, for a Black woman, her hair, it can be a stressor. And so I said, let me do something different, and I am glad I did. It's a lot to get used to, though. I tell you, the first night, well, it's hard to sleep on them when you first get them. And I woke up the next day and said, I feel like a Rastafarian, okay? Hair was everywhere.
You gotta get you a bomb. Is it heavy, Sabrina?
Yeah,
is it heavy?
First it was, but no, it's not heavy anymore. But the first day or two, it definitely takes some getting used to. And so I got to get with Chrisette because I don't know how to style it or anything. So, but all I know is I don't have to worry about no hair for a few weeks. That works for me. Mm-hmm.
That is amazing. I hope they are following you on social media, because pictures are gorgeous. Attitude is gorgeous. And in just a minute, we're about to talk about some braids, because I hope you went to the movie this weekend. I'm not going to give it all away, because I know some of y'all were not obedient and went on the opening weekend, but we're going to talk about it. But right before we do that, Sabrina, also, before we pass it to Chris, how is Baltimore? How are you enjoying Baltimore?
Yeah. I was in Jersey City last week in New York with my daughter for the whole week. And so actually, last night was my first night here. You guys were in temporary housing. We got to go to, we were in a hotel, then we were in one condo, then we got to go to another condo for 6 weeks. Then we finally get in the house November 1. So I'm feeling my way. You know, we're finding out a lot about the city because we have to live in so many different ways. But you know what? Life is an adventure and attitude is everything. And so I said, Sabrina, you can have a great attitude about this and make the best of it, or you can just have a sucky attitude. So I'm choosing to learn all the different neat neighborhoods. We're downtown by the harbor, which is wonderful, beautiful communities, city for sure. It is the city. So that's very different for me, but it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
You know, it's wonderful. Now, where you're going to be moving, will you be in the city or are you going to be in the suburbs?
It'll be the suburbs. Yep,
Okay.
it'll be like 20 minutes outside the city. Yep.
I will tell you one thing, living in Chicago and living in the city in Chicago and in the suburbs here. I mean, I'm telling you, when I'm here, our social life is not as rich. It's not as great, but I love being able to, walk to the mailbox. I love never having to worry about parking. The city just gives you energy and food and fun. And, you can just pop in here and pop in there and there's never a dull moment. But that parking is something to get used to. It ain't no joke. When you get a parking ticket in front of your own house.
Girl.
So
We already got our first ticket. And
yeah.
it's just crazy because one condo, you only get one parking spot. The other condo, you get two parking spots. It's just a mess, but it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right.
But that's the land in the city. I'm telling you. Oh my gosh. Chrisette. I'm the odd man out today, looking fabulous in braids. I know you're going to school us. You need to give us some lessons because, one of these days. It's been about 20 years for me too. So say hello to the people.
Can you guys hear me?
We can't hear you.
Okay. Come back to me.
We can't hear you still. We still can't hear you. See,
I'm
you look beautiful.
Issues.
Okay.
Don't worry about
You
it.
still can't hear her. Can you hear her, Sabrina? Is it just me?
No.
Just hold on.
Can't hear.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
So she
I'll
is
fix it.
not on. Okay. She is not on. So if I was a lip reader, I would tell you what she said. She would tell you how fabulous the party was. She would tell you how amazing it is. So I know you're going to figure it out. Giovanni, do you have Chrisette on the radio? Okay. So she's coming in. Well, Sabrina, did you get to go see the movie or no?
I didn't. I told so many people about it, but I haven't been there yet. But I was moving around, did not get there.
Yep.
But tell me about it.
Understandable.
You went, my sister went. I mean, I hear that it is amazing and a must see.
Yeah, it is amazing. It is a must see. We will get Chrisette back. We can hear her on social media, but she's not on the radio portion. It is a must see. It's absolutely a must see. Kerry Washington bought out like 4 or 5 movie theaters, and she posted on Twitter. Or you said that. You're the one who told me, because one of the movie theaters was right up the street here in Oakland. We were there. We drove by the theater. And it was just amazing and I'm the kind of person who knows how to tell you about the movie without telling you about the movie. So I'm not going to give it away. It's not a spoiler alert. I will say this. She needs an Oscar for her performance, and she needs an Oscar for producing. It was amazing to see. She made it really clear that if there was no Black Panther, which everybody mark your calendar, I think it's November 11th. Somebody correct me. November 11th is when Wakanda Forever comes out. So we're going to be in the theater. That's going to be amazing. But she said if there was no Black Panther, this movie would not have happened. Because she said, frankly, people are not interested in seeing that many powerful Black women on a screen together. It's just, I got so much out of it. And so I can just tell you that throughout the movie, I summarized it as so much pain and even more power. I mean, that is what I summarized. It's just, and I came home, my girlfriend who is a historian, she said, it's great historical fiction. Like the tribe is real. The king is real. Even her name, there was really someone named that, but the character is fictitious. Okay. And, but the message is just, it's a powerful it's just powerful. And so it's one of those movies that you're trying to figure out, okay, where it's going, what's going to happen. And I just was speechless. I mean, at the end, you know, you get angry, you get mad, anything that touches on the slave trade at all, you get mad. But it's just, you're like, man. And honestly, you just waiting for the day that God makes this thing right, because our people have just gone through so much. But to see them sisters fight, when I tell you, you know, and normally you wouldn't celebrate watching women fight, right? But this is war. This is fighting for you. This is life and death. This is fighting for your freedom. And that kind of fighting, you strap up and you fight. You do whatever you got to do to protect your babies, protect yourself. And, you know, we have heard stories about what it was like, you know, when the slave trader would come for us. And so it's just powerful. You must see it. I will say this last thing is I was really impressed with how many, and, you know, I'm in California, so not surprised, but how many, how diverse the audience was. Of course, it was probably 70% Black, but there were a lot of white folks. And on TikTok, there were a lot of non-Black people doing reviews for the movie. So really good. Chris, I know you had an active social week. I don't think you saw the movie yet either, because you would have posted.
Right. I would have. Finally,
we still don't have you. Okay,
finally.
we got you. We got you now.
Yeah, finally connected, and I'm excited to be here. Excited about the conversation. Sabrina, welcome to the Braid Club. We finally pulled her on the other side. Looking absolutely fabulous. I know Katrina gonna get her braids. We ain't worried about that. And I think once the three of us rock these braids, Gloria, she might even surprise us and come back from Africa with her hair braided. So that's going to be exciting to see if she joins us, but excited to see your braids. Yeah, I'll give you a few lessons. Okay. I'll give you a few.
Thank you.
Lessons,
Thank you. Yes. I
need a Zoom lesson.
For sure.
For sure.
Chris, tell us about, we only have 3 minutes before break. Tell us about your weekend, because it was fabulous.
My God. It was a whirlwind weekend. When I say everything, I mean, I crammed in so much stuff over the weekend till it was crazy. So Friday, we went to the International American Automotive show, but it was the gala before the charity ball sponsored by DTE. So Chuck and I went there, and it was really, really nice. Had hors d'oeuvres, and then they transported us from DTE over to the auto show. I haven't been to the auto show in years. I mean, I can't even tell you the last time I went, because it was normally in January. Well, you guys know our leadership conference is always in January, so I always missed it. So they changed the date. Now it's, you know, in the summer. It was beautiful, well attended, you know, the cars. Oh my gosh, they had this Ferrari, a one-seater Ferrari that was $450,000 for a car. I said, do you know what a $450,000 house looked like? A car. And it had a extinguisher in there. I don't know what that part was about, but I mean, the cars
going 200 miles an hour.
Okay, absolutely. So the cars, just seeing the cars, seeing the people, and of course, Detroit is the city that put the world on cars and all of that, and moves the world. So it was just good to be downtown. Downtown is just so phenomenal. If you've not, this is a plug for downtown Detroit. If you're not from Detroit, make a trip to Detroit. You will be very impressed and pleasantly surprised. So that was wonderful. Then on Saturday, my sister told me, let's go on the Tour Detroit ride. 26 miles, you guys, over close to 3,000 bike riders. We jumped on the bike, went all through the neighborhoods, downtown, Belle Isle, had an amazing time. So
hold that thought,
okay, I will.
We're going right to commercial break and coming right back. You're going to be talking about what 4 billion people are talking about the Queen. But I got a little bit more news. We got to fit in the rest of Chris's weekend because it was all that. It's going to take her 20 minutes to tell us about the weekend. I just want to tell you about what's happening here in California where they want me to get a U-Haul and leave. We'll be right back. Hang tight. right, we are back. We are back. Thanks for tuning in to We Got Issues every Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. Today on the show is Katrina, your host. Sabrina is hanging in Baltimore, and we have Lady Chrisette, who was telling us just about the beginning of her weekend. So go ahead and finish, Chris, and tell us that auto show. I have been to the one in Chicago on that opening night, which is formal. So I know, I mean, I just remember how fabulous that was. But this tour to, what was it called? Tour de France?
It's called Tour Detroit. And
Tour Detroit, okay.
Tour Detroit, and it's just a bunch of bike riders. And when I say bunch, I'm talking between 2,500 to 3,000 bike riders. Wow. And my sister called me at the last minute, and I didn't know if I was going to want to go because I knew we were going to be out late on Friday, but I decided to get up and go. And I'm so glad that we did. It was just amazing. And literally we rode all the way down in and out of the neighborhoods in Detroit, and just to see the renovations and, you know, how the skyline is changing and all the hustle and bustle and things that are going on. It was awesome. Went to Belle Isle, which is one of our places that people go to picnic and take their family. So it was really a great weekend, and it was so nice. I saw these women, and they had on the nicest outfits, and what it said is black girls ride bikes too. I was like, oh, I got to meet them. So I went on over there. I said, okay, I got to meet these Black girls that ride bikes. Tell me about who you are. And they were from Flint, which is one of the other cities outside of Detroit, and they told us about their group. They said they had a Detroit Black girl ride bikes, and so I'm following them on social media. Definitely want to hook up and network with them. So that was really nice. So we did that, and then later that evening we went to.
Chris, but how long was the ride? How long did it take you? And
it took us. Okay, it started at 9:00, and we weren't done until after 1:00. So it was about 4 hours.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, 4 hours. And the thing about it was nice because it wasn't an extremely, I've gone on the rides that are really, really fast paced, but because it was so many people, it wasn't fast paced. So let me tell you something. There were senior citizens in there, and I was looking at these, and they looked to be 80, 85. I said, now that's where I want to be at that age, still participating, still, exercising. And she had a little basket. I was like, get it, girl. You my pros. When I get that age, I'm absolutely going to be outside doing those kind of activities. So that was exciting.
Because I get on that Peloton and I ride for 3 miles and I'm like, okay. And I'm still at my house. Okay. So goals for sure.
And of course, the Peloton is good, but being out with the people and socializing and talking, all of that makes for a really enjoyable ride. Then culminated the weekend on Saturday with a big birthday party. My hairstylist, Rodney, how he's a part of Socialite Detroit. If you follow him, you see he's here, there, and everywhere. And he makes all of the parties of the who's who in the Detroit metropolitan area. So he had his at the DAC, Detroit Athletic Club, on the rooftop. The most beautiful views of downtown Detroit, and everybody was dressed to the nines, and it really was a great event. And then ended on Sunday with the Green Girls and our monthly get together brunch at my daughter-in-law's house. And so it was just wonderful. Very busy weekend, but of course, can't wait to be here with you guys Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. on We Got Issues. So that was my weekend, and now I'm throwing it back to you, Katrina.
Well, I am so glad you fit us in your busy social schedule, because that's a lot, okay? That is a lot, but that's some good exercise, some good fun. You fit it all in. So we definitely want to talk about the event of the century for sure. I wanted to just give some news. First of all, you guys have heard about the heat that's been taking place in California. When I tell you it went from 100 degrees to fall like overnight, just overnight, which is a blessing. We even got some rain. I mean, for those fires, that was a huge blessing. But just speaking of climate change, y'all, pay attention to this. Taiwan had a 6.8 earthquake followed by a 7.2 earthquake. That's a big earthquake, y'all, from the California earthquake. I don't want to be a connoisseur, expert, because I don't want to experience anymore. But 6.8 is big, 7.2 is very big. This tells me their infrastructure is really good, because if only one person is reported dead, that's huge, because in a third world country, that could lay out lots of people. Mexico today had a 7.5 earthquake. Now, when you take a 7.2 to a 7.5, it's not like just a little bit more. It's like exponentially more. Like it's a big difference. So Mexico, it just happened. So I haven't even heard about it. And then we pay attention to Puerto Rico with Hurricane Fiona, catastrophic damage, 30 inches of rain. And it struck 2 days after the anniversary of Maria. That killed 3,000, like the whole island. The power was out. Now 100,000 people have had it restored. Pakistan is flooded. I mean, y'all, like literally, you can look at this as a Christian. You can look at this as just a person. Pay attention. This is climate change and prayer, like for real. Okay, we need both of those, because the earth is telling us something. And so it seems like it's kind of like, to me, the difference between holistic medicine and Western medicine. Like Western medicine, if your knee hurts and your arm hurts, they think the two have nothing to do with each other. But holistic medicine, they're like, it's your whole body. Your body is trying to tell you something. So I'm like, just because it's here, here, and here, like, don't think they don't have anything to do with each other. And then they said Alaska was about to experience record floods. I keep hearing floods, floods, floods.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like it's a lot. And the even crazier thing is how much of it do you hear about on the news? Like, it's just
no, it's not even big news anymore. It's just
not.
like we've become accustomed to our world being in chaos, whether it be fires, whether it be storms, whether it be tornadoes, whether it be earthquakes. I mean, it's just like that used to be big news. Now it's just like a blip on your television screen, like a barely a mention. So it's okay.
And you know what?
Getting accustomed to it.
Exactly. Yeah. And the other thing is when you into the news devastation that's going on around the world, it really pulls you into the movies that we've seen Day After Yesterday, and all of these movies that depict climate change and how the world leaders were in denial. It wasn't, true, and so on and so forth, until something catastrophic happens, and then everybody is running around. And I remember that one movie we watched, they got one big boat like the Ark, and you had to, pull a number to get on the boat to be saved. I said, it seems far-fetched, but come on, we grew up with some stuff like the Jetsons, and all of that stuff seemed far-fetched, and we're living the Jetsons kind of life now. So I just know that we better pay attention, because the earth is screaming, trying to tell us, and if we are not aware and careful, we will suffer irreparable damage, for sure.
I mean, for real. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this is a good segue, because I didn't realize how much of a climate change proponent King Charles was, of which now he has to not be as political, but that has been one of his major platforms. And so let's just transition to a little event that happened today. Okay. For the past 12 days. You guys, this is the single biggest event. They expect 4 billion people to have tuned in some kind of way. With technology, that wouldn't have even been possible before, but because of technology now, presidents, kings, princes, prime ministers traveled to attend Queen Elizabeth II's state funeral on Monday, while hundreds of thousands gathered in the streets of London to mourn the monarch. The elaborate ceremony marked the United Kingdom's first state funeral in 50 years since Winston Churchill in 1965. 2,000 people attended the actual ceremony at Westminster Abbey, which an estimate 100 were presidents and heads of state, including, of course, President Biden. Her funeral could become one of the most watched television events. It will be. Ain't nobody else had 4 billion with a
right.
Okay. Thousands of military personnel were involved in the day, 4,000 taking part in the funeral procession, 3,000 were stationed in London, and 1,000 in Windsor. And it went off without a glitch. That's like, they need a round of applause just for that. But listen to these numbers. 800 guests attended at Windsor Castle, which is where the final ceremony was, where they lowered her coffin. There's another ceremony that happened tonight, but that was private with just the family. 5,949 military personnel were deployed throughout the meticulously choreographed operation that began with the Queen's death on September 8th. 1,650 is the number of military personnel that were involved in the pomp and circumstance. They had to bring it. Okay. They had to bring it. I don't know if you saw.
And they did.
They did that. I mean, the security for real, more than 10,000 police officers, 22 miles of barriers, 1 million is the number of people London transported to transport authorities expected to visit the capital. 5 miles of people lining up for the past 3, 4, 5 days to get in. And a couple more stats. There were 125 movie theaters, 2,868 diamonds across that crown that sat on the crown, okay, which now belongs to King Charles. And there was a 2-minute 2 minutes of silence. We're going to talk all about it. We're going to talk about Meghan and Harry because we all going to talk about. We want to talk about that question Chris asked about who else was Biden going to bring. And we're going to talk about just the whole thing. What were your thoughts overall as you watched whatever you watched? All of it, some of it, pieces of it. We'll be right back. So hang with us for the second part of the show as we talk about the Queen. The Force of Friendship, and we are back on We Got Issues, and We Got Issues. We are talking about this, the amazing, it just, regardless, and regardless of how you feel about the Queen, which we'd love for you to call us and let us know, did you watch? What were your thoughts? We want to hear from you, 313-778-7600. But it was a feat. First of all, let's just talk about what it takes to organize the event. Unbelievable, massive. And when you see them watching and walking in sync, it's majestic, for real, for real. So, girlfriends, did you watch? What'd you think? What were your thoughts? Talk about the Queen.
And I watched it. I saw some of it, Katrina, and it was just it was majestic. The imagery was incredible. Watching how the soldiers and King Charles and King Charles and all of those, his sister, Queen Anne, I think, is it Princess Anne?
Yep,
Yeah,
Princess Anne.
Princess Anne, and how they were walking behind the casket in step. And my question is, and maybe you have that information, Katrina, how many miles did they have to walk? I mean, to stay in step. And I know they said that they have been planning this for a long time. So it wasn't something that, they had to throw together, really quickly. They had a lot of this planned in advance. And one of the things they were calling it was a somber celebration. And it's like those are two words that you wouldn't necessarily put together, but it was somber because they didn't want to be out there like gleefully, but then they were celebrating the new king. So I thought that was interesting that it was called a somber celebration, but just to see the flags and the pageantry was just incredible. It was something to behold. And I don't know exactly how many hours, but the actual funeral itself, they said was less than an hour. So
she wanted it. She did not want it to be long. So when we had these
right.
people in these churches that had these 5-hour funerals, I'll be like, look, the Queen, with the exception of Aretha, the Queen's funeral was 1 hour. Get your stuff together. Get your stuff together. It was 1 hour and change, like just a little bit. What were your thoughts, Sabrina?
Long live the Queen. She must be tired, okay? It was 12 days. 12 days is a lot. I caught glimpses of it. The pageantry was amazing. The colors magnificent. To see everybody in step, it did pull at your heartstrings. I mean, I do have some people that I follow on social media, and they were nothing nice. They were like, why are you guys lifting them on such a high pedestal? I'll be glad when it's off the airwaves. I mean, really, some people have some feelings, and I wish they would call in to 313-778-7600 because they were like, I didn't watch any of it. It doesn't matter to me. We have enough situations in the USA. Why would all of that take up all of our airwaves? But personally, the monarchy has always been intriguing to me. I've always just the family history and Camilla, just the storylines. They have issues in their family like all families do. But to see them rise to the occasion, just think Camilla was the most hated woman in the world 25 years ago. And she now is very loved. And so they say that time heals all. And so this is an example. I think Queen Elizabeth, God bless her soul. She did a lot of good for the world. She was such a great listener. She was a humble servant. And we can learn a lot from her. I know that there's some things that the family definitely we don't agree with, haven't agreed with over the years, but I think the send-off was fit for a queen. And now she is at her final resting place just this evening with her beloved husband of 70 plus years, her parents and her sister. And well done, to live that long, to serve. You guys, since 1935, we have seen her come out on the
unbelievable.
Just since that alone.
1935, right.
Being consistent for that long.
She was just there June of 2022. Her last public appearance was a day and a half before she passed away. So she was an incredible woman. And I just don't think the monarchy will ever be the same. I just don't know how King Charles is going to. I know he's going to create,
and he's not going to be able to. Right.
Yeah.
He's going to have to create his own legacy. He's definitely had a great role model to follow, and he's had years and years and years and years to see what his mother did, how she operated. But one of the other things that was interesting with watching all of this is how during these 10-15 days, they've been talking about going back in history and talking about the queen and, how old she was and her whole story. I said, isn't it interesting that England embraces their history, and every country has a history, good, bad, and ugly, but they don't shy away from it. And then you come to America, throw out this book, throw out that book. Don't talk about slavery. Don't talk about this. Don't talk, because it don't make our kids feel good. It's shaming them. I'm like, are you for real right about now? I mean, it is history. Every family has a history. You go in all of our families, we have things that we want to scream from the mountaintop. And then there are things like, oh Lord, please don't talk about that. So that's just life. Life is not about hiding the bad stuff and only talking about the good stuff. That's not reality. But I do like the fact that, they have even talked about, some of the countries that are not excited about the monarchy, and they are thinking about pulling away because of, the way they were treated, because of slavery and some other things. So, but they have, in my estimation of what I've seen, they haven't shied away from those negative things. And I think we can take a page out of their book when it comes to talking slavery real. And there are still issues that America has that are steeped in our history and in slavery. So I absolutely wanted to say that, because I just think it's good that they don't shy away or hide the history, the negative things that the crown has done.
Yeah, Trevor Noah has been talking a lot about it, and he would differ a little bit, talking about the things that they've been hiding. People have been talking about some, that largest diamond on the top of the crown. Many of those diamonds have come from Africa and India, and many people say they weren't all paid for. Okay, so some people are like, "Can you send us our stuff back?" So it's interesting. I will say this: absolutely, always gracious, but different countries, as I've watched different countries that have talked about as some places where she hasn't given a direct apology, where they haven't, and so it is an opportunity for Prince Charles to be more modern, and will he
And aware.
speak, truth to power, and talking about some things. So that's interesting. Her casket, people asked, how is she staying in there for 12 days? Let's be clear. Okay. And so they talked about the special embalming, and they also said, well, let's be clear, the casket will not be opened again. It's not going to be opened again, even though the family was with her before she was moved again. And then they moved Prince, her husband, next to her, because he's been someplace else. And now that she's passed away, she gets to go in where Queen Victoria is and her father is, and Prince Albert comes with her. But they said there's lead in there. So when you talked about them boys walking, I mean, they were looking sad, but some of that sad was like, this thing is heavy. Okay. I mean, heavy, plus you got, $20 million worth of, or $200 million worth of jewels that you can't drop. Like, I ain't about to go down for dropping the queen. So that was a lot. When, I don't know how many miles, Chris, but I do know this: 25, the processional was 25 miles throughout. They didn't walk that whole part, but that it was a lot of walking. And so, I mean, it was a lot of walking for real, and watching them, not just walking, but in step walking, and walking slow. That was a lot of walking. So I was, did you guys see the one guard who passed out?
No.
And that was really touching. Yeah, at the place where the regular common folk could come in and see her.
Right.
There was one guard who passed out, Chris, and I mean, when I say he fell flat on his face, no, everyone's like this, so nobody reached over and catch a brother. I pray he's okay. Like, he could have busted all his teeth out because he fell so flat. But it was touching when the grandchildren came in for 15 minutes. And I was impressed that the grandchildren came in and stood guard around their grandmother's casket. And I thought that they would have stopped people from coming through, but they just kept people coming through. And I think they're really trying to, they're never going to be common, but I think they're really trying to market themselves to be more connected and more relatable, I guess. So we're going to talk more about it. Let's talk about the fifth in the line of succession, because he still is in the line of succession. Lots would have to happen for him to be king, but let's talk about the Duke of Sussex when we come back, and his wife, the Duchess of Sussex, if I'm saying it right. That would be Harry and Meghan. We're going to talk about them when we come back. All righty, all righty. Well, we are back on We Got Issues, and we're talking about really the largest event of the century. I don't know that we will see another event. King Charles is not a young man, so he will not be on the throne for 70 years. And even though I know it will be pageantry when it is his time, it won't be as big as the Queen, okay?
No,
It won't be as big as the Queen. So just interesting. Before we talk about Harry and Meghan, how about Biden and the fact that the foreign heads of state were asked to use, first of all, Chris, last week you asked the question about should he bring Trump. Okay, so
I was ready to ask you. I want to know who went.
So I was, honestly, do you know that when the Queen met Trump, she wore the pendant that President Obama had given her? Okay, so that was shade right there. That, and she was the only, I went on the Royals Instagram, and the only American that the Royals were following is President Obama on his personal page, not President Obama as the president, as his personal page. So clearly she loved the Obamas. This just, everyone talks about it. She loved the Obamas, but he wasn't there. I was really surprised. He wasn't there. And he's friends with Harry, and, so friend of the family for sure. But I also thought when I looked around, there was no other dignitaries from the United States that I mean, no other presidents from the United States. None of them were there. And so according to this, it said that, and they may have changed this, world leaders, including President Biden, have been instructed to only bring their spouses or partners to the funeral because of space, which honestly, Chris, I think that worked out best politically for him by none of them coming, because if all of them had come except for Trump, that would be the topic on social media. True Social would be going crazy, making another $300 million off of that. Okay?
Right.
So, but how about the fact that Sunday night, King Charles hosted 1,000 of the presidents and the monarchy from around the world at Buckingham Palace. And how about that they were asked, this is what it said on the BBC, they were asked to use commercial flights to enter the United Kingdom, okay, because they didn't want all these private planes, okay, so you put these presidents on commercial flights, and have banned the use of private helicopters during the duration of the ceremony. Dignitaries are also being advised against using their own state cars for transportation to the funeral itself. Instead, they were put on buses, and that's how they got into Buckingham Palace, except for the president of the United States. Okay. He had all his people and all his cars. So that just tells you about our position in the world. Okay. It was President Biden and everybody else was on a bus. How about that?
Wow.
You feel some kind of way, like the president of Canada, the prime minister, everybody. I wonder if the prime minister of the UK, I wonder if she was on the bus too. But he drove straight in. So what were your thoughts? First of all, did you see Meghan and what she had on? She looked amazing. I mean, she just, she was fabulous. She
knows. I mean, that's that old Hollywood glamour, knowing, she's very stylish, but very elegant, very classy. I mean, very trained. And I think her, being an actress, not that, she's acting, but it's easier to fit in. I mean, because of her training and understanding, what to do, what not to do. So, I mean, you can't, and I'm going to tell you, people really like her. From what I've heard, she's very likable. And she does kind of remind you of Princess Diana when it comes to being a people person and touchy-feely, not afraid to embrace and to put herself out there. So I just think that endears people when you make people feel good and you're not standoffish, especially when you have the title and the status. It's just really hard not to like them. But she looked absolutely amazing.
Gloria Lewis said the hat, the cape, the gloves, perfection. I mean, honestly, it was perfection. And she wore the brooch she wore was a gift from the Queen, of course, as a gesture. And so the question becomes, first of all, this is interesting. He really is fifth in line of succession. It's the Prince of Wales, the Prince George of Wales, which is their son, Princess Charlotte of Wales, which is their daughter, Prince Louis of Wales, which is their other son. And then it is Harry and his son Archie and his daughter Lilibet. So you don't get taken out of the line of succession, which was interesting. So some people say that maybe because the weight of the world, you could see the weight of the world on King Charles, and so he's going to put all of that on his son. And so some people say this might be an opportunity to say, hey y'all, what do you think? You think they might bring him back in, or you think the Queen's position is the Queen's position? That's your final answer.
Yeah, I think there's right now a lot of water under the bridge. And so it's going to take a lot to bring them back. And even if they're invited, I mean, it's tough to correct those wrongs when your wife is so bothered and so ostracized that she wanted to think about committing suicide. And Harry said, I have to get her out of this situation. What's going to change to want him to be back in that situation? What? I mean, I know their feelings were hurt that they weren't invited to some things, and he couldn't wear military his uniform. But honestly, I think they are okay in the USA. I don't know if they want to be back in. They're creating a life now. And
That's true.
Fifth in succession, Katrina, the likelihood of them
Right.
rising to anything is zilch. So my thing is, go live your life. Go live your life.
I hope his daddy breaks him off $1 billion or so, because he inherited so much money overnight. Okay, even if he is not in the Royals, he need to be in the wheel. That's what I'm saying.
Is that his daddy? Is that his daddy?
You know what, Sabrina? Now you being real messy. You bringing the mess back. You bringing the mess. Okay. Word on the street. What's the word on the street, Sabrina?
Now
you know what the word.
It may not be.
You know what the word is.
They don't look. They don't look nothing alike, but that don't mean they don't have the same daddy.
Well, let's just go here. There is an Australian. He is British, and he's from Australia, and he says that he is the love child of the king and the queen consort. And he says he can prove it if he can get a DNA test. That's a whole other interesting conversation, but he is all out in the news right now. And they put the faces right up. He does kind of look like Camilla, okay? Which the interesting thing is, he would be the king. Now that right there would blow your mind, okay? So we got a lot going on. We talked about it all today. It was ironic that Prince Harry and Prince Andrew are the only two that served on the front line in the military, and they were not a military uniform. However, we understand in their country, it's not customary for veterans to wear military uniforms after they retire, but I'm just saying they really did serve, and they were the two not in military uniform. We talked about it all, y'all. It's going to be all over the news, but there's a lot of other news. We got a lot of other issues, and guess what? If you come back here tomorrow, we're going to talk about it all. Okay, that's right. A scandal. Okay, we see you in the chat talking about a scandal. You don't have to go anywhere else. We got enough scandal in America and the UK. We don't even have to go watch the series. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Have an awesome Motivating Monday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ciao. Peace.